This recipe is sponsored by Squarespace. Fried green tomatoes. If you're not familiar with the dish, it's exactly what it sounds like, and it's shockingly good. The frying softens the hard, unripe tomato, and the fat balances its acidity. It's a classic summer treat here in the southern U.S., but a great time to have it is in the fall, when you've got the last tomatoes on the vine that probably won't be able to ripen before it gets too cold. This is a way to use them. Though around here, they sell deliberately unripe tomatoes in the stores all year long, probably for this purpose. Don't confuse them with tomatillos, though you could make this with tomatillos. Before we start, yes, elephant in the room, there's a very famous novel called Fried Green Tomatoes, and the movie version was filmed about 20 minutes from my house here in Juliet, Georgia. If this town looks like a movie set, that's because it is. It was virtually a ghost town next to this shuttered old grist mill. 1991, the production designers came in, rebuilt the whole place for shooting, and it has remained basically unchanged for 30 years, a living movie set. The Whistle Stop Cafe from the story is a real operating restaurant, and of course they sell fried green tomatoes. I've taken some inspiration from their recipe. You generally put the tomato on its side and then slice a quarter inch, half a centimeter, something like that. These ones from my garden are really underripe, so I'm going to go on the thin side just to make sure they get soft enough in the pan. One important thing though, always shave off the skin over the blossom end before you start cutting your slices. If you don't, this will happen. The breading just doesn't stick to such a wide area of smooth skin. You could just pat those slices dry with a towel, or you could go the extra step of salting them for a bit to draw out some of the water. Just eyeball enough salt to season this much food really well. And something they do down south here sometimes is a little bit of sugar. Sugar draws out moisture too, and it's amazing against the acidity of the tomato. Just get everything coated and leave it for 20 minutes. Look, you can already see them starting to weep there. While you wait, you can make your dipping sauce. People usually have this with some kind of mayonnaise-based sauce like remoulade, or what I'm going to do, which is a buttermilk sauce. If you're going to buy buttermilk for the traditional southern breading, you might as well flavor your sauce with it too. Maybe start with 2 parts mayo to 1 part buttermilk. You could always thin it out some more, and for a dipping sauce to flavor something else, it probably needs a stronger source of acidity, like lime juice. I'm doing lime. You could do vinegar. Do whatever spices you want. I'm just doing a bunch of pepper and some hot sauce. Stir it up, taste it. Needs more lime, needs more hot sauce. For the breading, you could start with normal flour, but I'm using Wondra, which is a brand of pre-gelatinized flour that makes very light, crispy breadings and batters. It's not necessary, but I love it. For the wet stage, we'll get an egg, and since I don't need a whole egg's worth, I'm just putting in the white. Fried coatings come out a little crispier if you just use the white, and in goes the buttermilk. You could use regular milk, you could just use the egg, you could use no egg, just milk or soy milk, but if you use the egg, give it a good beating to get it loosened up. For the outer coat, a lot of people use fine breadcrumbs for a cakey effect, but I'm using more Wondra for a lighter flake. Again, you could use regular flour, but for the southern touch, you also got to use some cornmeal. Some people use only cornmeal. That gritty texture is kind of the southern signature. And I'm using a little bit of baking powder. A lot of old southern recipes call for self-rising flour or self-rising cornmeal. That would have baking powder in it. It gets you more of that flaky tempura-like effect. Any seasonings you want, they've got garlic powder, onion powder, dried mustard, paprika, black pepper, and if you have it, it's always nice to put in some fresh parsley or other herbs into breadings. They stay surprisingly green when they fry crispy. I feel like tearing in big chunks of parsley today, but you could chop it up super fine and mix it all up. Even though those tomatoes are seasoned, you might want to add a little salt to the outer breading, but I do not, because instead of frying these in oil, which you absolutely could do, I'm going to fry these in some nice salty bacon fat, which is certainly one of the traditional ways. Just enough to have a good thick coating of fat for shallow frying. Medium heat. Look at all the water that came out of those tomatoes. I really think that weeping step gets you a nicer taste and a more satisfying, firmer texture. Just make sure that you dry them pretty thoroughly before dusting them lightly with your flour or Wondra in my case, then into the wet stage and into the outer dry stage. I really dislike when these are just locked inside a solid, thick coating of breading. I really want more of that tempura vibe where you can see what the vegetable is through the breading. The coating is light and patchy. You get that by simply being very crude about this stage, not being very thorough. And in the hot fat they go. They should give you a good sizzle. You could deep fry these instead. That will get you more of that solid overall seal of breading. I'm not into that. And there's no guesswork here. Just fry them until they've softened a little bit and are brown to your liking. These took 2 or 3 minutes on each side. I would err on the side of cooking them less. I think they're gross when the tomato flesh inside goes soft and mushy. I still want it a little bit crisp. Let them drain for a minute, but don't let them sit there too long. This is a fried wet thing. It needs to be eaten almost right away or it won't be crispy anymore. I like those big irregular shards of breading and big leaves of crispy parsley. heterogeneity. Speaking of which, you can dab some hot sauce in your dip there and then don't stir it in. It makes it so you can taste little streaks of hot sauce in your mouth. Quite surprisingly good that dish is. It's like a fried pickle, but with a fresh taste. And again, fry in any fat that you want to use. This can be a great meatless dish, but since I fried it in bacon fat, I have some bacon. That's a complete meal right there. Breakfast of champions. It's like a deconstructed BLT. Wouldn't it be obnoxious if I called it that on a menu at a restaurant? But at least my menu would be on a Squarespace site, the easiest way to build and run a website for virtually any purpose. There's so many templates now that they let you filter them by type and or by topic. Personal resume site, real estate for selling a house, online stores, professional services, restaurants with open table reservations. You just pick one, replace their stock photography with whatever you've got, and then you can customize from there endlessly. From credit card transactions to accepting appointments, Squarespace has basically any function you could need. They will be the only company you need to work with to run your site. You could even hire somebody through Squarespace to build your site for you, though you can try yourself for free. When you're ready to publish or to register a domain name for your site, you can do us both a solid and save 10% at squarespace.com/Ragusia. That is in the description. Thank you, Squarespace. And thank you, Juliet, Georgia, for helping introduce so many people to this southern treat. Secrets in the sauce.